A new company with ties to Bilderberg and the World Economic Forum just launched a global digital ID where they want to scan your eyeball and use biometrics to turn your life into a scene from the Minority Report.
Good evening, John. You can move the old-fashioned John
I'm going to explain what they're doing and how you can push back in one simple, fast step. Step number one, let's go right over this combination of cryptocurrency, a world ID, their term, not mine, and UBI, Universal Basic Income. And it starts off with everyone's favorite, Moody the Millennial. And Moody just downloaded the World app on their iPhone. And when I'm saying the World app, this is exactly the term they're using. In fact, editor, let's cut right to the internet and we can hear straight from the company that's trying to implement this dystopian nightmare. They're called WorldCoin. And this is straight from Fortune magazine at fortune.com. WorldCoin scans people's eyeballs through what it calls an orb. I told you, not making this up. A reflective metal ball that whirls and blinks as it turns someone's iris into a cryptographic code. Then all those who have been scanned will receive recurring grants of crypto as universal basic income. Given AI's propensity to put people out of work, WorldCoin has also recently unveiled World ID, a means for other applications, other websites, to verify people using its platform through WorldCoin's protocol. So now that you guys can see, I'm not making this up, let's go right back to the whiteboard and I'll explain how this works. So again, we start with Moody the Millennial. They download this World app onto their phone and the World app tells them where the closest orb is. So they go down to the orb, which I'll show you in just a moment. It looks like this silver kind of space age ball with this thing sticking out. And you look into the orb and it scans the iris. It scans your eyeball and then it gives WorldCoin, the company with ties to Bilderberg and the World Economic Forum, your biometric data. And once the orb verifies that you're human by scanning your eyeball, it gives you a specific ID number. This is very vague, but from what I can gather, it's kind of like a social security number. So you look into the orb, it scans your eyeball, and then the orb on your app gives you a specific ID number that doesn't include any of your private information, like your social security number, your phone number, or your name. Or so they say. And then they also say that they take the biometric data and it is then deleted. But of course, you have to just take their word on that. And they pay you for giving them your biometric data in something called WLD, or WorldCoin, which is their cryptocurrency. And you want to go ahead and hang on to that, because what they say is in the future, this is how you will receive global universal basic income for just being human. Again, their words, not mine. So right about now, I know a lot of you are watching this video and you're still not convinced. You're probably saying to yourself, okay, George, this is some sort of April Fool's joke. There is no way people all over the world are finding their local orb, looking into it, and then getting some sort of UBI as a result. Fine, you don't believe me? Let's go right to WorldCoin's recent promo clip that they just released showing people doing exactly what I'm talking about right here on the whiteboard. So after the eyeball scan is done and Moody the Millennial receives their cryptocurrency, of course, this is all located on their app. So now when they go to all these websites, such as social media, they can just give this identification number that they got from the orb instead of having to give all of their personal information. Ironically, the company is actually selling this as a way to maintain your privacy. So then the question becomes, okay, well, how do they actually generate revenue to actually pay you the UBI that they promise? In fact, if you look at their white paper, it says that their vision for this is that every single person on the planet, we're talking about 8 billion people, will have their eyeball scanned, will have this digital world global ID, and receive universal basic income. So again, how do they generate this revenue? Well, it's actually tough to tell. As you can imagine, they're very, very vague around these things. But what I would imagine is their business model would involve charging websites to differentiate between actual human beings and bots. And it's not just differentiating between human beings and bots, it's also making sure that one person represents one account. Where right now on Twitter, as an example, one individual can have 20 different accounts and you don't know which one is real and which ones are fake. So what they're likely assuming is most websites, online companies will be willing to pay for this service. So that means revenue going to, let's just say World Inc. or whatever their holding company's name is, and then they would distribute that revenue right back to Moody. They would get that as more cryptocurrency that they could spend in the real world on their world app. And all of this is free money. The only price you have to pay is not only giving them, but trusting them with your biometric data. So what this really boils down to is if there's one person or even a group of people that are trying to scan the eyeballs of all 8 billion people on the planet Earth and incentivizing them to give up their biometric data by promising them UBI, quote unquote, free money, you have to ask yourself the question, are their intentions good? Or are they bad? Or what are the downside risks? So let's start by going over who started this company, or him with a co-founder. This guy's named Sam Altman. And you probably know him because he also founded or is the CEO of OpenAI, artificial intelligence. And I would agree, that doesn't make things any less scary. And he is also a part of the World Economic Forum, more specifically, their Young Leaders Program, which according to Klaus Schwab himself, these people are being groomed to not only save the world, but to run it one day. Oh, but wait, there is more. Mr. Altman also has attended the Bilderberg Group meetings that, according to CNBC, are incredibly secretive. Now, I don't know if they have these biannually or maybe just once a year, but I do know that they have something called Chatham House Rules. Not sure how to pronounce that, but basically this is where everyone agrees that they will go to this meeting and keep everything they hear or everything they talk about kind of on the down low. Other attendees include Henry Kissinger himself, the Secretary General of NATO, and the CEO of Pfizer. I don't know about you, but I personally don't want my biometric data in these people's hands. But I want to give Sam Altman the benefit of the doubt. Let's just assume for a moment that his intentions are good. Let's assume for a moment that he's altruistic and he has what's best for society at large as his number one priority. It's absolutely possible. I'm not saying that it's not. I don't want to throw him under the bus with a ton of speculation. I'm just pointing out some of the people that he's hung around with and some of the organizations that he's associated with that I personally don't trust as far as I can throw. But again, he could be a great guy. The problem here is when you start to consolidate power, when you centralize things like data that can be used against society, and can be used to control society, eventually you're going to get someone that is controlling that data or controlling WorldCoin like this: a sociopath, a megalomaniac, a person that has an insatiable lust for power. So even if there are very good intentions here, the problem is once it grows, once it expands, it's going to be taken over by someone who we don't want to have that data to begin with. We have seen this happen time and time throughout history. And unfortunately, what Sam Altman and his crew are doing right now is paving the path for this to potentially happen in the future, but not at a country level, at a global level. Oh, time out. Obviously, it is possible, and I would say it's probably even likely, that these people do have good intentions. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that these people are incredibly smart. But it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Thomas Sowell. There is usually only a limited amount of damage that can be done by dull or stupid people. For creating a truly monumental disaster, you need people with high IQs. But even though I want to give the folks over at WorldCoin the benefit of the doubt, there is something else that concerns me. Let's look at the way they are marketing this to the general public, or the way they're incentivizing the general public to go down and visit their local orb. They're doing this by paying them. And you guys know the old saying, if the product is free, then you are the product. Okay, well, let's take that one step further. What if the product is not only free, but the product is paying you for your biometric data? And let's be honest, if this service was that great, wouldn't everyone just be lining up to use it? Think about the very first time that you used the internet. Did someone really need to incentivize you to do that by paying you? Absolutely not. But that's not the only problem I have with this UBI carrot being dangled in front of the horse. It's why are they using cryptocurrency to begin with? If I get hungry for lunch and go down to the local restaurant that I like, they don't have to pay me cryptocurrency to do so. And also, let's think about this UBI model. It's actually very clever. I've got to give them credit. It's similar to Groupon. You guys know this website. I think it still exists. But basically, the idea is that there is a specific deal that you can get, let's say, on yoga classes. But the catch is you have to get all your friends to buy the deal before everyone actually gets the discounted price. So let's think about this. Is what Sam Altman and the group at WorldCoin is doing is they're going to all of these people, we're trying to go to all 8 billion people and say, hey, all you have to do is look into the orb and we're going to give you this UBI indefinitely into the future. But there's one catch. You see, if we only have 2 million people that sign up for this, which by the way, that's about how many people signed up on the first day. But if we have more and more people sign up for this, the probability of you actually receiving that UBI is greater. Again, it's just like Groupon. So let's assume that these 3 kind of automatons that have gone down to the local orb represent the first 2 million people globally that have done this. And they received that cryptocurrency, the WLD, on their app. And they realize that if they get more people to do what they just did, well, then it increases the probability of them getting free money in the future. So what are they incentivized to do? Well, they're incentivized to go to all their friends and tell them how great it is, so their friends also go down to the local orb and become automatons themselves. Those people then go out to all of their friends and do the exact same thing. They kind of use this peer pressure to get them to give up their biometric data to Sam Altman and the group at WorldCoin. It's actually an ingenious way to set up this kind of network effect. But like I said at the beginning, the fact that they have to go through all of this rigmarole to get people to use the product to begin with makes me extremely concerned that their intentions might not be good. So let's just assume for a moment you don't want your life to turn into the Minority Report. What can you do to push back? Well, the good news is it's actually very simple. If you ever see someone come up to you holding this nice, shiny, modern-looking orb, and they say to you, all you have to do is give us your biometric data and we will give you this cryptocurrency that could pay you UBI for the rest of your life. All you have to do is say, you know what, buddy? I want you to go ahead and take that shiny orb, take your UBI, and
turn that sumbitch sideways and stick it straight up. You can do it!